I did want to send out a couple of thank yous to our landscape contractor, Kevin Hernick, who helped us install this great facility, as well as Morris Staggs, who's from New Toys, and she was our designer for the splash pad, and that's how we got to where we're at. There was a lot of work that went on this winter to get us to this point, and that was handled by Chuck Myers. He's the superintendent of Parks Forestry Cemetery, as well as Rich Paulson, who is the supervisor of parks. And so for that, I'd like to say a great big thank you for getting us to this point. And I'm going to ask Paul Best to please step forward and say a few words.
I come here with very mixed feelings. I've been on the board for 6 years, or 5 years and a couple days short. And actually, I'm going to be terming off here in a couple of days. And I mentioned this to my son, JP, who's sitting in the audience. And so his recommendation was for me to declare a Parks and Rec martial law and extend my term for a couple more years. So anyways, but that being said, I think back to 2001 when my wife, Andrea, and myself and my daughter at the time, Alexandra, were living in Oak Park. And we were trying to decide what community we wanted to live in, as we both got jobs in the northern suburbs. And we decided to move to Lake Forest. And there were 3 reasons why we decided to move here. One is location, just this beautiful suburb right on Lake Michigan. Number 2 were the schools, and 3 were the Parks and Recs resources. And 21 years later, these are the reasons why we continue to stay here in this community and what really makes us, I think, a world-class community. And this splash pond is really a reflection of that investment in Parks and Recreation. So I'd like to thank, there's many people that have been involved in actually making this happen. And Sally, you mentioned a couple of them. I'd like to thank a couple people too as well. So certainly City Council and Mayor George, thank you very much for providing the funding for this project. I also look at my fellow board members and thank you for all the support you provided to the Parks and Recreation Department as I look at Kevin and Casey. And thirdly, and most important, I'd like to thank the staff. And when you work on the board, you get together the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and you spend a couple hours with the staff, and you give them a lot of advice and a lot of suggestions, and then you come back a month later, and you do the same. More advice, more suggestions, and a month later, more advice, more suggestions. Well, there's a lot that really happens between those meetings, and it's the Parks and Rec staff that makes it happen. And probably what I'll miss most of all as I term off the board is the relationship that I've formed with the Parks and Recreation staff. And they are truly world-class. Everyone from Sally, who runs the department, Joe Mobile, who was here a little bit earlier, who had to leave, Chuck Meyer, who you recognize. I think, Aaron's here too as well. But this is truly a world-class staff. So, thank you so much. And, you guys are the guys I'm really going to miss the most as I term off here. So thank you. So, anyways, with that being said, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Mayor George. I think you have a few words too as well.
Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for a great 6 years on the Park and Rec Board. A couple of major accomplishments, getting the strategic plan put together, which I think is should be a model for all of our strategic planning throughout the city. Managing through a challenging conversation about athletic fields and this. And great work by you and your whole board, and of course the staff. This is a place for kids on the west side, and you can come from the east side too, all the way over here. But the idea was to put some sort of an attraction for kids over on this side of town, and it seems to be working really well. So good call on that. This is one of the things, outdoor water activities was identified in the strategic plan as an area that needed attention. And so we're moving in that direction, as with a lot of other aspects of that plan. With so many new families, the last count, we have over 1,100 new families that have moved to town in the last 2 years. And most of them have brought young children with them or on the way. I see lots of babies on the way walking around in my neighborhood. So this is a way that we're going to continue to try to improve and enhance the recreational facilities we have throughout town. There are a whole bunch. If you've driven around town, there are a whole bunch of capital projects going on all at the same time right now. It's a little daunting to get around town, but thankfully we're in a position to make all these investments right now at a time when a lot of cities are strained, and we're quite the opposite. We're moving ahead with a whole bunch of long planned projects, and this is one of them. So thanks to everyone who was involved in this: the city staff, Sally, Chuck Myers, Joe Mobile. Well, yeah, Jason, not to be forgotten, is our city manager, Jason, who's shepherded all of these projects through, and the entire city staff. Mike Thomas has had a lot to do with helping execute some of these things. It's been a real team effort, as with all of these kinds of projects. And, the kids are drowning me out with their glee right now. So I think I'll leave it at that and turn it over to Sally. But great project. Thanks to everybody. And thank you, Paul, for your fabulous service to the city. I think there's more in store for you, so be careful.